I'm getting a lot of questions on Barry Bonds and Elizabeth, his former wife. First of all, Elizabeth and me lived about 50 minutes apart by car in Montreal. She ironically lived on mountain sites, and I lived on Barclay, right at where the Jews finish and the blacks start, in a neighborhood like that. This is a piece of history now. But it's been nothing but hell for us in Canada because it was theft upon theft and theft upon theft. And I mean, half our Mount Royal was gone. Half our Mount Royal is gone. Like they literally stole the cubic earth, black earth that makes up the lush Mount Royal. And it's so funny because Mount Royal sits so high up that you can see Tommy Hilfiger can see his, like he has a house in Montreal. Tommy Hilfiger and Celine Dion's houses are in a closed off enclave. You have to know Canada to know that little street because it's so well hidden. Like if you're not local, you just don't know it. So with half the mountain gone, I have to go back up to the summit now and look to see how bad it's been sunken in next time I'm in Quebec. So they're asking me back to Elizabeth. We all lived in the vicinity before she moved out to LA. So I think they're trying to portray her as a fraudster because they're reenacting the story as a fraudster and they doubled the real Elizabeth. Something like that. I'm like, that's just too much energy. Like, why don't you just change up the story, use my work, and do the church of posing and give me some money so I can finish? But it's almost turned into a soccer match that the last two are at the top fighting. They don't get that they're only fighting with themselves. I'm not fighting, I'm narrating. And every time I narrate, then I get 50 questions on who I'm referencing because they want to reenact it out of the United States. All these years later, what's the outcome? Half the work is missing. You pissed off the globe's biggest figure. She looks like a little old lady. She's not old, but because of injury, she looks older with, all she needs is one of those like Alan Weinstein shoes and a little Prada bag, and she will fit in with the rest of the Montreal clique. But she's not really like that in the real version of the story. So then I get another message, just pick a house on Summit Hill and go move in. Blessed, you're being too difficult. They're missing the whole point of everything. Not everything is money. There's a level of responsibility that comes with Hannah's job in a fluke true story. She has a particular job. You will never see this story again. So between Kim getting all the money and Jews cheering her on and they're throwing these very lavish parties, and between, all the big Zionists who are just loving what they're building, there's an academic portion to it. And as whatever enhancers were given back in the day kind of starts wearing off, that energy is no longer in Hannah. So time is ticking, and there's a bigger problem. What if I die and you guys die with me? You didn't do anything. Like, you didn't achieve anything. You just wasted people's time, but that's what they do. But then they turn around and say, we had lavish parties. Well, I guess, if you want to think of it that way and then just die and come back a Negro, that's fine in the jungle somewhere. Because you're definitely not in the good books in terms of kosher, but we don't care. Well, you might be not caring by yourselves. Maybe you just need to heal. So, anyways, make a long story short, I got asked about Elizabeth tonight. I got woken up saying something about an executive decision. I got the seals making their, you know, file for the United States. I got China making their file for China. I got the Greeks making their file for Greece. The Turks are making it for the Armenians. The Germans are making it for the Germans. And Hannah's sitting here, saying, where's the police? We lost them years ago. And just time is ticking. At the very beginning, you're watching the real version now. What did Hannah write about? That the devil did this to Hannah. She wrote about time. In one of the biggest stories in history, based off a true story that goes back years. We're talking years. And every time I wrote, they just made it bigger and bigger. Like, it's almost like an empty bubble at this particular time, because you're trying to just grab whatever pieces to bring in the revenue to continue, but all you can do is this social media thing. So at least when you die and they go back through the videos, they can look at it from one woman's perspective. The ability to burst their clan ship and make a variance in that membrane, which creates evolution. Another interesting fact for you.